Got it.
Okay, we are recording this. I do want to start with a shortened version of the league, the Texas League, National League's nonpartisanship statement. It says the league shall not support or oppose any political party or any candidate. And I believe we all here are bound to follow that. Also, the diversity, equity, and inclusion policy. The league is fully committed to ensure compliance in principle and in practice with the league's diversity, equity, and inclusion policy.
Great. Thank you, Ellen. And Ellen is the president of the Richardson League, for those of you who have not met her. My name is Kathy Murphy. I am a member of the Richardson League. And I thought, let me just say briefly sort of what this call is about. And then I thought we could just go through the people on this call, and each of us could say who we are and what group or groups we're with. Like I said, I'm with the Richardson group. I also work with the naturalization ceremonies, and that is where the conversations that birthed this call came from. Several of us have gotten to know each other through those ceremonies, and people there are from various different groups and work independently, registering voters. And one of the conversations that has come up a lot is what we're doing on college campuses, both community colleges and four-year universities. And the really neat thing is that at those events, we have participants from, somebody has their mute on. Maybe we should check and be sure our mute's on. If
Ernestine, and she was having trouble hearing.
Oh,
now all of a sudden we can hear her.
We have to get off. I can't hear anything. Not a thing.
Okay, I wonder if she doesn't have her audio turned on. Okay, hopefully we'll get her back.
Well, I have to get off.
Oh, good. We can hear you, Ernestine. So anyway, at these,
I cannot hear anyone else.
Oh,
We have to go. We have to get off.
we can hear you, Ernestine. She must not be able to hear us.
Sorry.
So at those events, we have people from 4 counties. So we have a lot of different colleges covered, and we've heard some really exciting things and sort of shared what we've learned working on these campuses, things that have worked, things that haven't worked. And so some of us talked about, gosh, wouldn't it be great maybe if we pulled this all together on a Zoom call and had some of the folks who are spending a whole lot of time on college campuses talk to us about what they have learned. And so Barbara Leith and Bonnie Moore and Brant Beeland are
I'm on a call right now, and I may have to introduce myself.
those 3 people.
I can listen briefly until I have to be introduced. Okay, so go ahead.
So I was just looking through the picture, and I was
Somebody is
Eric,
on.
can you mute yourself?
Or somebody's on. Yeah. Okay. So that's what generated this call. That's what we're here for today. Very informal call. All 3 leagues are on the call and others as well. And so what I'd like to do, first of all, is just have each of you kind of introduce yourselves and who you're with. And I think to make it so that everybody doesn't talk over each other, I'm going to look at my screen and go from left to right and just ask each of you to say who you are and who you're with.
Okay, since yeah, if you'll call out the names, because I'm on my phone, so I only see you.
Okay, I will do that. So Ellen,
Okay,
you want to start? Except you have to unmute.
Yes. I'm Ellen Steger, and I am the current president of the League of Women Voters of Richardson.
Great. And Joan, can you introduce yourself?
I'm with the Dallas League, and I focus on Eastfield College.
Oh, great.
Registering kids to vote.
Terrific. Bonnie?
I'm Bonnie Moore, and I am with Denton Vote Group, and I am primarily up at UNT in Denton, although I have been at UNT in Frisco and UNT in Dallas, as well as TCC with Barbara in Tarrant County.
Great. Okay.
And some high schools, but we won't talk about them. They're a different breed.
Okay. Barbara Leith?
Yes, I'm Barbara Leith, and I'm started out with Powered by People, which was started by Beto O'Rourke. And then when that went dormant, when he was running for governor, that Heidi and I decided to just represent on campus as independent. But I help at the naturalization ceremonies, which is where I met Kathy and some of you others. And then do things with Battleground. And Heidi and I are talking about right now we're mostly on TCC Northeast, which is in Hearst, but we are talking about possibly reaching out to a couple of other locations after the first of the year.
Good.
Great. Thank you. Let's see. Janet, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Janet Santola, and I'm with the Richardson League. I'm in the role of voter registration, and actually we're looking at focusing on technical schools in the next month.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Nell, could you introduce yourself, please? You are on mute.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm having a little difficulty. I'm just changing the equipment here. I'm Nell Watt in the League of Women Voted Dallas, primary L Central Junior College.
Great.
Great.
Thank you, Nell. Janice?
I'm Janice Schieffer with the League of Women Voters of Collin County. I'm the VP of Voter Service, so I'm in charge of voter registration, candidate forums, and voters guides. We work with Collin College, and Virginia Bergen, who's also on this call, is in charge of that, so I'll let her talk about that when it's her turn.
Great. Thank you, Janice. Virginia, it's your turn.
All right. I'm also with the Collin County League. And again, like Janice said, we work together, and I've been helping organize the Collin College Rock the Vote efforts at all the campuses. Well, not all the campuses, but the main ones, McKinney, Frisco. All of a sudden I'm going to blank out McKinney, Frisco, Plano, and Wiley. And we did one at the Allen Technical Campus once.
Great. Thank you, Virginia. Ruth, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm with the Dallas League, and I help out in various Dallas community colleges.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim, and I'm with the Richardson League. Got pulled in by Kathy, who's the best person to get pulled in by.
Glad to have you, Kim.
Yeah, don't mean to be so distracted, but got this cat sitting on my computer.
Okay.
And she keeps poking me for attention, so.
That's great. Okay, Jean Richards.
I am Jean Richards. I am the Voter Service Vice President of the League of Women Voters of Richardson. I'm not currently personally doing registrations at the moment, but I'm lurking on this call just to learn more.
Great. Wonderful. Barbara Larkin.
Hi, I'm Barbara Larkin, and I'm with the Dallas League, and I'm focused on all the different Dallas College campuses.
Great. Thank you. Terry, I see you've joined us.
Yes, I'm Terry Hopkins. I'm a precinct chair in North Dallas, and I've been pulled in by Kathy Murphy, and also a Richardson League of Women Voters member.
Great. Okay, Anne.
Hi, I'm Ann Zimmerman Gallant, and I'm with the Dallas League, and I've been co-heading efforts to register voters on Brookhaven's campus for 5-6 years.
Great. Thank you, Anne. And Kelly.
I'm Kelly Drablos, and I've primarily focused on Richland College. I'm a member of the Dallas League.
Great. And let's see, Ernestine. Oh, Ernestine, you're on mute.
So sorry.
No worries.
I'm Ernestine Chipman. I'm Vice President of Programs at LWV Irving. I concentrate on the Dallas College North Lake and Dallas College Mountain View. I also help locally with high school as well.
Great. And I see that Brant Beeland has joined us. I'm not sure, Brant, whether you're on the phone or video, but could you introduce yourself?
Yes. Sorry, y'all. Okay. I am actually in our office right now, so I've got people behind me, but my name is Brant. I think I've worked with most of y'all before. For those of you that I haven't, it's good to virtually meet you. I am the Regional Organizing Director at Battleground, Texas, and currently we have our office on like the Plano-Richardson line, but we work all throughout North Texas. We've worked at several different colleges, worked with y'all at some of those colleges, so happy to share more.
Great. Thank you, Brant. Brant's also a league member, Collin County, right?
Yes. I also have Susie behind me who also works with Battleground as a league member too.
Great. Wonderful.
Brant, excuse me, can you switch your camera just a little bit so there's no campaign material behind you?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go off camera real quick anyways while we finish up here,
Great.
and then I'll jump back.
Great. Thank you. And Shannon Fitzgerald, you're on the call now, right?
Yes. I'm Shannon Fitzgerald with the Dallas League, and I help out at the naturalization ceremonies and then kind of Dallas College where needed.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you. We've got a good group on this call. Like I said, we are recording the call. We'll also take good notes, and so that those can be circulated to people who didn't come or had to leave early. So I would like to kind of jump into it. And what we talked about doing was I asked Barbara and Bonnie and Brant to each maybe talk for about 5 minutes just about their work, kind of what they have learned, because they have been doing so much work on campuses. And we sort of wanted to learn from them. And then we can maybe, after they have had a chance to talk, maybe we can ask some questions or share some suggestions and figure out where we go from here, what more would be helpful. So I don't know who wants to start first or what your schedules are, but would one of the three of you be willing to jump in and talk to us about what you've learned and what you think are your best practices?
I'm happy to, Kathy.
Thank you, Bonnie.
The problem with me is you got to shut me up if I keep, because I get into it and I love voter registration on campuses. So if I keep going too long, just go, hey, lady, shut up.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. You can tell I've been around college kids a lot because they definitely will let you know. I have been doing voter registration on both TWU and UNT in Denton for going on 8 years, and kind of started it back before really people even latched onto the idea that college kids are a huge block of non-voters that we are turning into voters. And I also do some work with One Party as the voter protection hotline. It's still nonpartisan, but I just saying that because it isn't just registering voters, it's helping them learn where to go vote. So a big part of our registration process on campus is education. And that's how we present it to whoever we need to get approval from, whether it's housing, whether it's getting permission to be in the union, which is where we get most the students access. But we have to obviously be nonpartisan, and we don't talk politics. I mean, it's just that simple. We have had a few people in previous election cycles, usually older adults, that try to bait you into a conversation to try to get you, and we just don't play. We're not there to be part of that. We are simply there to help students understand, A, the importance of it, and they have most of them have no idea. I had one kid ask me if he had to pay to register goes, do I need to pay something to read? They don't know because
Yeah.
they're not hearing it from home for a big part. I will say that in this last 6 months, I'm getting more kids that are saying, yeah, my parents have been talking to me about registering, but I really didn't know where to go or what to do. And then they get on campus and they get busy with all their classes. And so they don't know where to get access to a voter registration card or really even how to fill it out. So we're there to tell them, look, you need, if you don't have a driver's license, you're going to need your last four digits of your social. Put it on your phone because you're going to need it as an adult when you go get a job. So it's a lot of understanding the mindset of the 18 to 22-year-old. It is not the same as registering I've done different events, fairs like Grapevine Wine Fest or whatever. When you're talking to a lot of adults, most of them not really interested in talking about voting, but students are interested. They just are a little embarrassed because they don't know what to do. They don't know what a ballot looks like. They don't know what they have to learn before they go vote. The number one objection that I get when I ask students, and I don't say, are you registered to vote? You've got to, when you're on campus, anywhere near a campus, do not ask them that question because some of them, especially for the universities where they are from out of state or from Houston or from wherever, they might be registered at home. So they're going to go, yeah, I'm already registered. And then they want to walk away. Do not ask them, are you registered to vote? Say, hey, are you already registered to vote here, near campus, on campus, in an apartment, in this county, whatever works best for you. For junior colleges, for community colleges, you're going to have a lot of kids, almost all, that are from that immediate area. So just put your county in there. Hey, are you already registered to vote in Dallas County? And then they'll stop and think. You need to make sure that the question you ask is what you're really trying to find out, because I've had people work with me and I've heard them a couple times say, hey, are you already registered to vote? Well, they were. And they go, yep, I am. And then they want to walk away. They're done with the conversation. And I said, well, are you registered here? You live in the dorm, right? And they're like, yeah, no, I'm registered in El Paso. Well, they're not going to go home to El Paso to vote. The bottom line is we not only want them to register, we want them to be able to vote. They are not going home to wherever. So make sure that what you ask is what you're really trying to get down to, which is, are you registered so that you can vote here, wherever here is, whether it's Dallas or Tarrant or Collin. That's my number one suggestion. Understand your campus culture. And Kathy and I were talking before y'all jumped on this, that there's a huge difference from one campus, even within, there's UNT in Denton, there's UNT in Frisco, there's UNT in Dallas. I'll just use them because those are the three that I've been actively involved in. UNT in Denton has been extremely challenging to get on campus and get access to students. The administration pretty much says, upper administration pretty much says, oh, work with the student groups, or they don't even answer. I've had them not even answer my emails. That was when I first started up there. Since then, I have learned to make relationships with people in housing, student activities, student government, various groups that have been able to get me a table in the union, because you have to, fill out the paperwork 5 days in advance. There's a cost involved. Well, I don't have $150 every time I want to do a voter registration event. And so, but they have funds that they are willing to do. So, for example, in January, kids go back to class, January, I believe it's the 16th. It's a Tuesday, it's the day after Martin Luther King Day. We basically have 3 weeks to get anyone that wants to register to vote in the primaries registered. 3 weeks. They don't have classes on Friday. So we have Monday through Thursday. And I know this because I've been up there on campus. I did a voter registration once on a Friday and I'm like, there's nobody here. So know your college culture. At UNT, they get out of class at 10 minutes to the hour. So if they're in a 1 o'clock class, it may be, a 45-minute to 50-minute class. So during those 15 minutes before the hour, you're going to get swamped. And so I always have at least one other person help me. Sometimes I get some of the TAMs, the students that are, 16 and 17-year-old that are actually on campus doing dual credits. They can't register, they can't even vote yet, but they love to come help. They will ask students that walk by, it's like, hey, are you already registered to vote here? Kids love to talk to other students. They're less intimidated. So one time I did in one of the residence halls, I had 2 TAM students sitting there helping me. I was by myself registering. I'm thinking, it's a residence hall. I'm there for 3 hours. What am I going to do? I ended up doing 65 by myself with 2 TAM students, just saying, pulling people as they came off the elevator, because they're just fellow students. And they're like, no, not really. But they had listened to me talk to people. They knew enough to say, well, she can help you. You're already living here. You should register. It was like, so my biggest suggestion is, if you know any students or have access to any students on the campus that you're in that are even remotely interested in learning about government or voting or any, and I think you'll start hearing more and more, because the vibe has changed. They're very engaged. They're very willing to talk if you're willing to listen. So find someone, if you can, just to be there, just to say, hey, are you already registered? They can help you. League of Women Voters has an extraordinary reputation on campus. I'm not saying this just to fluff up your halls, but I mean it sincerely. In fact, one of the things that we hand out is a piece of paper that has QR codes. Students love anything that they can scan. Don't try to hand them a piece of paper that has a lot of information. They're going to literally throw it out in the first trash can, if they even take it. But they will take their phone and scan a QR code. We send them every time to say, you want to know more about what's on this last election on the constitutional amendments? Here's, just scan this. And we send them to the League of Women Voters page, because we know it's nonpartisan. You're going to get good information. And we tell students that we are nonpartisan. It doesn't mean I don't have an opinion, but they don't care about my opinion. It doesn't matter. But they need to know where they can go to get good information and not feel uneducated or embarrassed, because they don't. Most of them, I take it as a personal challenge when I see someone come up and they're like, oh, I don't know if I believe in voting. Well, that just like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, why? I'm just curious. I'm not going to try to talk you into it, but I'm curious, what is it that makes you not believe in voting? Have you ever voted before? No. Have you ever registered before? No. Do you know that there are places that you can go to find information about what's going to be on the ballot that is nonpartisan? They're not going to try to talk you into things. Oh, no, I didn't. Would you be interested in seeing that? Bingo. The minute I've never had anyone say no. They'd come up, they take QR code, they look at it, and you can also send them to like Dallas County Elections. They have a great website. Each elections office has their own website with information on where they go to vote, whatever. So have both. Have the League of Women Voters. We have one sheet for UNT and Denton because we have kids from multiple counties, but I'm deputized in Wise, Tarrant, Dallas, Denton, and Collin, because I get kids from all of those. Not so many in Wise, but I do get enough that I decided, okay, I'll drive out there and get the thing. And then we have a lot from all over the state.
Bonnie,
so yeah,
I'm gonna.
No,
that's what we want, is that enthusiasm. So we're fired up. So I thought, though, hold on to, I know you've got more thoughts. Let's maybe hear from Barbara.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay. I'm Barbara Leith. And I think, as I mentioned in my introduction, in 21, I signed on as a VDR with Beto's Call to Action with Powered by People. And then as that went away, Heidi and I are independent on campus, but we started at TCC Northeast, and because that's really close to my house, and I'm in the Grapevine area, and I'm deputized in Tarrant, Collin, Denton, and Dallas counties. And what we did was early on, I went to the main switchboard for the Tarrant County College campuses and asked for who did the First Amendment management space for each campus and got contact information. And then we focused on TCC Northeast. But essentially, when we started, we asked if we could come on and register voters, and we picked Wednesday as it's similar to what Bonnie just said, that on this campus that they're there from Monday through Thursday. There is a high school on campus, and those kids are on Friday, but hardly anybody else is. And we do the spring and fall semesters, and this is our third year on campus. We do every Wednesday from 11 to 1, and we're located in the student activity area, and they provide a table and chairs for us, and then we set out our clipboards, and we keep building. Now we have signage and all too, because Brent's graciously provided some stuff for us, but when we first started, it was very slow, and we got, a few, I think at the end of the semester, if we got like over 50, we were celebrating. They have a spring and fall festival, which usually helps us get a good lift in registrations. But because of our relationship with the campus, that we were invited this summer, they reached out to us in June, July, and asked if we would participate in orientation, that they were doing something different this year, that a lot of the TCC campuses just, invite the students on and they would play like a video or something like that. But this year, TCC Northeast, they did in person, and they had all the different support, like, financial aid and other departments had set up tables, and they invited us to be there too. And we had 8 sessions, and between that and being invited to Constitutional Day and the Fall Festival, and a couple of classroom professors invited us to come in and register, that we did close to 400 registrations for the semester. But I think that's been with building the relationship, because even though some days we go in and we may not get a registration, kids know we're there. They come up and they're asking questions. We create a dialogue, and as Bonnie says, some of these people, I'm not into voting, I don't like it. I don't know I don't like what's going on in, Washington and everything, so I don't care. I go, okay, let's talk about that if you have a minute. And then each time I see them, because I'm there every week, I say hi, I try to remember their name and talk to them and say, and just keep scratching at them until hopefully, that we get them registered. But with the school, we've got a really good relationship. This week, at the end of each semester, I just dropped off cookies Tuesday, and then I'll do that again at the end of next semester. But also getting to know these people that are, the ones that are allowing you to be there, and also providing, a table or chairs or whatever, that getting to know them and also what their job entails, so you can have a little empathy. I found out a lot of the work with the festivals and stuff, all the other things that these are having. If you have like 20 campus associations, that if they're doing giveaways, The Student Activity Center is the one that figures out, you know, they ask them what they're going to do, and then they have to order all that stuff and budget it and everything else. That's a big job. So, you know, we always tell them how grateful we are for letting us be there. And also this year, with being on Constitutional Day and everything, that we now have a relationship with the director head of the government and paralegal services. So we communicated with him on our success. We got written up in the campus paper at the beginning of school so kids know where we are. And then also I find out from the information desk that kids will come up to them and ask them when we're going to be there. And so we're consistently there. Every Wednesday, we do it for 2 hours from 11 to 1. And, you know, or as long as they, you know, as long as we have traffic, we'll stay. Let's see what else. I don't think anything has not been productive. Like I said, when we don't get a registration, we usually have really good dialogue, and a lot of things that the kids don't understand is that they think, oh, I'll do it later and I'll do it online. In Texas, you cannot do it online. And so you let them know that. Also, scanning QR codes rather than, you know, giving them a list of things. We also, people say, well, I don't want to do the research. And I go, somebody's already doing that for you. And we point them to the League of Women Voters information. And like with the 14 amendments that were in, you know, on the ballot this time, that I make sure that I vote early so that I can see what, you know, I know for sure what the ballot looks like. And, you know, and then I can come in and talk about that when I'm asking them. And also, what we did is we had information so that we could, you know, we marked everything. And so we could show them if they came up and they wanted to see what happened, you know, okay, the results, what does that really mean? Then we have something that we can talk to them about. And a nice thing, they don't do it on the local or the state elections, I'm finding, but hopefully for the primaries and midterms and all that they do have a polling place. So we're saying, oh, and when you vote while you're on campus, it's real convenient and it's in that building. And so we say, it's usually over here, but it's usually somewhere in that building. And just letting them know how important it is to vote. And we don't do the summer because the summer, the way the schedule is that they, usually their classes, there are less of them, they're longer, they're like 2 or 3 hours. So these kids are commuter kids. So they come in, they go on campus and they leave, but we are there every fall and we go up until Thanksgiving. And then we found after Thanksgiving that they're into finals. So, and it's a short period, so it doesn't really make any sense. But then we're right back there in January. And since we've been there so long, and then now we have, you know, and then being there for, orientation and all that, we've got a lot of kids that were like, well, when's your birthday? You know, oh, I'm 17, because there's a high school campus on this a high school on this campus that they're knowing. And before we left, you know, a couple of them were saying, I'll see you in January or I'll see you in February, so that they know that at 17 and 10 months that they can register to vote. And a lot of them are going to be on that cusp that they're going to turn 18 just before the election. So we want to make sure that they're set up before March.
Great. Barbara,
and
thank you.
I don't know. I think that's it. I kind of stumbled around and went really fast. So I hope
you did great.
No, this
if
is
you've got
great.
any
I've got
questions, let me know.
Lots of good notes. I think let's hear from Brant. I know his organization does things a little bit differently, at least at UTD, and maybe he's got some other ideas to share. Brant, are you still with us?
Yes, if y'all could give me like 2 minutes, I'm about to hop in my car and drive to another event to register voters. But once I'm in the car driving, I'll have plenty of time to talk.
Okay. Okay. I did have is there anybody else while we're waiting for Brant's availability? I know that in particular, the Dallas League and the Collin County League have done a lot of campus stuff. Is anybody on the call, has something occurred to you that you'd like to share with the group?
Yeah, Janice Schieffer with Collin County. We have it pretty easy with Collin College because they invite us twice a year, spring and fall semesters, to come out and register voters during their Rock the Vote events. So this is at like the 4 main campuses. At each one, they have a time from 11 to 1 when they advertise this to students. They have them come swipe their student ID. They get a free t-shirt. Sometimes there are some other giveaways, and encourage them to register to vote and send them to us. So that's worked pretty well. We've also, Virginia has been involved in getting us involved in some other like festivals and things at the campus. So we try to do that. And so we have a good relationship already with at least some of the people. At one point, we were trying to work with student groups, and we were able to do a few presentations in some classes, and that it worked well, but it wasn't lasting. So that hasn't been a continuing thing. But one thing I did want to mention in terms of students need some information and they don't want to be embarrassed is we recently did a presentation to a group of high school senior girls in Allen, about 24 girls. And, attention kind of varied during the presentation. We talked about the importance of voting and all that, statistics, and then who can register. I think the thing that got their attention the most is when we showed about a 2 to 3 minute video that Collin County Elections had of how to use their voting machines, because when they got the new voting machines a couple of years ago, that's where you make your selections on a touch screen, then you print out your ballot and you review it, and then you put it in a scanner. So we had the video showing them how to do that, and I think that really points out that they need to know what to do. It's not just, oh, it's so important to vote and here's how you register, but here's how you actually go vote. So that's just the point that I wanted to make.
That's
excellent. I'm not positive, but this is Ellen Steger from Richmond. I believe Dallas County also has a video. I don't know how long it is, or Barbara Larkin may know better than I do, but at least at one point they had one also. So
that's great. That might be something too that you could put on your QR code, however you show your QR codes, take a picture of this so you can go watch a video. Brant, are you available now? Not quite.
Yeah, sorry, I had to find my unmute button.
No worries.
Yes, I am here. Sorry, it's been a day. The good news is we registered 80 voters today, so.
Yay. Great. So Brant, Barbara, and Bonnie have talked about kind of their operations, and I know that Battleground is doing it a little bit differently with a lot of clipboard work on the UTD campus, at least. And I know you've been listening to this. Do you have any other things to share that have worked well for you?
I think the biggest thing, and honestly the thing that surprised me the most with our current organizers, is they have not been afraid to just push boundaries. And I think Bonnie and Barbara have also been really good about this. People are going to tell you no. I very much expect that. But to just keep pushing and like trying to find the people that will say yes, or honestly wearing people down, getting them cookies like I know Barbara likes to do to really make a good impression. But also along those lines, our canvassers have also just shown up on campus, registered voters, tried new things. I think going and finding the students versus like having a table or waiting for them to come to you has been really good. Because we found a lot of students that are like waiting in line to get food that might be holed up somewhere studying, and just having that conversation of like, hey, I'm here, I'm just registering voters. And surprisingly, like I'll use this week as an example because a lot of students have finals or are preparing for finals. Even then we've had students that are still like in the midst of studying, hey, yeah, I definitely want to register to vote. Just because we went up and asked them while they were maybe sitting there. So I think that's the biggest advice I can offer, because also listening to Barbara and Bonnie, they gave great recommendations as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, we wander around and talk to people, you know, and sometimes it's like talking to kids that you see every week, and it's like, how's your week going and all that. And if they haven't registered yet, you know, going, have you been thinking about it? And, you know, can I convince you? Can this be the day? And, you know, and I always tease them and say, I'm not giving up on you. And be assured, we're going to keep talking. And they look at Heidi and I think kind of as like mother figures or something like that, you know, and so they'll come and not only talk about their day, and then eventually it's like, oh yeah, I think I really need to do this. Or a lot of them check to make sure, see if they're voting, or, you know, if they're registered already. Some think that they automatically, they don't have to do anything. And what I learned from Tarrant County elections office is, because I've had several kids that said that they registered at the DMV, and then they, you know, and then they never got anything. And then, and I go, well, you can look right now and see if you're registered. And they look and they're not. And I go, okay, go ahead and let's fill this out, but I will flag it when I take it in so that they know that you're not trying to do this multiple times, but that we think. But, and the registrar's office told us that there were issues with DMV and download. Sometimes it eventually gets there, but sometimes it takes longer. So,
or never
just an
gets there.
FYI, yeah, that, you know, and I don't know what the, you know, if it's systems talking to each other or what the deal is, but he says sometimes they have issues. It eventually gets there, but instead of taking, you know, like 35 to 40 like that, it could be longer if you do it through the DMV.
That's good to know, especially with the February 5th deadline coming up. So Dallas League people I know have done a lot of work on the Dallas colleges. Does anybody on the call have some things to share about Dallas colleges?
You want me to go? Does anybody else want to go first?
Go ahead, Barb.
We've got leaders, every person, you know, we've got leaders for each campus at the Dallas College system. And so, the Dallas College system, we've actually been the stable ones, and they've been sort of had administrative chaos. So it's always like, you know, trying to, you know, make sure that the administrator has changed and the jobs have changed. And so it's been this sort of revolving thing for the last couple of years. But so it was good to hear someone talk about bringing cookies to the administrator, because I need to like remember that, you know, periodically, because we're constantly getting new administrators to be working with. And so yeah, cookies is a good idea, so that they can, because we constantly have a revolving door over there. But anyways, we've been you know, most of the campuses, Joan on Eastfield and Ann on Brookhaven, and most of the campuses do, you know, I don't know, 6 to 10 or 12 events per semester. And you know, some days are great and some days aren't, and that's kind of how it goes. We focus a lot on education, so all the same things that the other folks are saying is exactly what we do. That we're building relationships with the kids and talking to them about the process. And so many of them say they don't vote because, you know, that they don't know enough to vote. So it's more of an information thing than it is. And once they get comfortable, like Bonnie was saying, even just on a couple little things, it sort of flips them. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, maybe I can be a voter. And so, you know, we're always working it constantly. We've had the thing on the classroom visits. Those are, I think, always work great. It's, you know, and but it's another thing that's a little bit of a revolving door. We haven't really had this, you know, thing where you can do the same people every time. It feels like the teachers either are changing. There's a few teachers that we get to do over and over, but a lot of time we have to start over every semester. That's what it feels like. So if we can hit it every now and then, we kind of get lucky and we get an administrator that helps us set up all the classrooms, and then we're like golden. But it does feel like we kind of recreate the wheel a lot on that. And then last, in Dallas, we have a flyer. Dorit, who's on this call, does our flyer. we're going to start a new, our flyer is got QR codes on the bottom. It's got the state league. It's got Dallas, in our case, Dallas County. It's got, we put DIFFN on there, which is, helps people understand parties. We have votetexas.gov. So it's got the QR codes on the bottom. A lot of the kids either take a picture of the flyer or take the flyer, or we say, take it home and put it on, give it to your mom. And, and that it'll last forever because those QR codes really aren't changing. And they're like, oh, okay. So that'll help you. And it, well, we're starting a thing, Dorit and I've started a thing where we're going to have, Dallas does a lot of work on these flyers and we get a lot of hits to vote 411 because of it in Dallas. Dallas has the biggest vote 411 hit ratio of anybody in the state. And I think it's because we've been doing these flyers for 5 years. But so we're going to start a thing where we're going to send the flyer to the state. And if any other county wants to change the QR codes, use the same flyer, because it pretty much is, it's like dates and it's statewide stuff. But the QR codes would change by location, that we would send it to them and they could redo your QR codes. And you could just say, hey, can I get that Dallas flyer except with Collin County instead of Dallas County in the QR codes. So we're starting that up for this next year.
That's awesome.
Anybody else in Dallas, please jump in.
Yeah, well, and can I ask a question for the Dallas people? Are you guys going to North Lake in Irving?
Yeah, Ernestine, who is has been running North Lake. And she's been
okay, good.
she's on mute.
Great.
Sorry, yes, here I am.
Okay, I have a question. I have a question for Ernestine.
Yes.
Or really any of you. How do you decide if you do you ever do like tabling events where you're just in a in the union area or the common student? They must have like areas where they eat. I know like a TCC when I helped Barbara once, there's like all the offices and then there's a common area where kids get vending machines or whatever. Do y'all do tabling events? And do you stand or do you sit?
Both. I stand and I sit.
Okay.
I'm kind of short and I'm not sure they hear me or they see me. So yes,
if you're sitting.
Stand. And I also need to stand. I can't sit real long. So my back. And we are always doing it at Dallas College. They've got Subway. And we always are near the Subway or in the building near the Subway or where they eat lunch and study.
Yeah, we're tabling pretty much at all 7 campuses pretty often throughout the whole semester.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
One thing that we've done too is every month that they publish a calendar for the month. And if they're starting to invite us, the school is starting to invite us to participate. But if we see something that we feel is going to get a lot of foot traffic, then we reach out and say, can we play? And they usually say yes, because they do
That's nice.
a Monday mocha and donut kind of thing every once in a while, and some other things. So, look at the monthly calendars that they have, and if there are events going on, maybe see if you can tag into that if it's not a regular day. But we keep that in addition to our regular day because now we've been there so long that kids are expecting us there.
If that continuity is so important, if they see you they know. I've had kids walk across the whole plaza area. I was putting in a sign and a kid came running across. He goes, hey, and then he had a question about voting. I always wear a t-shirt that says, register, show up, vote, your voice is important. I always wear the same t-shirt every time I'm on campus. I have them in 2 colors, so I don't have to wash them all the time. But that is so important, that consistency, that they know if they see you even at a distance, they know that if they have a question, they can come to you. That's so important. And the standing up versus sitting, because my son's a senior there at UNT, old mom. But anyway, he kind of tells me, hey, avoid just sitting behind the tables because kids are just literally going to walk right by you and not even see you. So we either, whoever I'm working with, we're either both standing or one standing, kind of like just say, hey, are you already registered in your campus? They do the lead in and then bring them over to the table and then we finish the conversation and get them registered. but it's
Well,
important.
and our building is like hacienda style, that there's a courtyard in the middle. And Heidi and I will take turns that one will stay at the table and the other will walk the building and walk outside and just kind of casually go out. And we have our clipboards with us. And
That's
we'll,
awesome.
Yeah.
I have a quick
I would
question
like to
for
say
Bonnie.
something about our experience at Richland College. And that is that our best results were when we had multiple tables. And there are places on campus that are very, very, very busy. I'm sure it's true on all of them. And we just happen to have a fantastic relationship with student life, and they get the tables for us.
Nice.
And 18 was absolutely our very best year. I don't know if any of you knew, but Ferreira and a bunch of people came to the Richland campus at the behest of Battleground. And there was a huge voting event, and they won a state award for their student government involvement in the voting push. And we had a 200 vote 2-day experience with 5 locations on the campus. I don't know that we're going to see that level of enthusiasm this time around. And obviously in 2020, we were shut down by, at least Dallas College campuses weren't open. But trying to figure out on a really high intensity basis, not a constitutional amendment election, but an election like a presidential one, if you can find other places. Our best location is not by the subway. I mean, we're there very, very, very often, but our best location is actually in a building that has a ton of classrooms and a bunch of traffic. And the more experienced BDRs know to be as engaging as possible. And everybody's talking about that, but you have to keep talking about it if we're going to increase volunteer bases and have a lot of people around who've never done this before. And then I just like to say, for me, I've been doing this since 17, and I started out doing it with Battleground. I do continue to worry about getting them through the process. I mean, I never just talk about registering. And our flyer that we talk through with all the QR codes, I walk through it as if it's a coherent process, if they'll stay and talk to me, because just getting them registered isn't enough. Obviously, we want them to vote, but it leaves them kind of hanging. They think, oh, I'm done now, and they don't realize there's going to be more to it than that. And then I'm really worried about disinformation. And I know the National League of Women Voters has some kind of ad campaign going about suggesting to students that they be very careful about sources and they understand where they get their information. Because the one thing I do know is they don't read typical media. They don't look at the kind of sources that we consider better or more substantial or more fact-based. And I'm also kind of worried about this swing Harvard just did. Harvard students, and how good are polls, who knows, but a poll suggesting that this time around for fewer students, we're going to choose to vote.
No, I don't agree with that. That's just from from the enthusiasm that I've seen on campus. I think if we can get out there and educate them, and like you said, walk them through the process. One thing that I have done after every, after we do, we meet the deadline for voter registration, but for the days after that, once early voting starts, I'm back on campus, either in the union, in the halls, or whatever, as voter information, but it's really a get out the vote. Hey, did you know that you can vote on campus? You just go down right here, and I show them the map. It's right down there. You can walk there. You'll be there in 5 minutes. Make sure you have your ID. Do you have your ID? And just go through the process, and that keeps them engaged. It's the only way. College students are busy, and I think we lose sight of the fact that we think about this all the time because we know the significance and the importance of what we're doing and the importance of them showing up to vote. They are not thinking about it all the time. They're thinking about, I have to get this assignment done. When's my next test? When are we going? What are we all doing Thursday night afterwards? Where are we going to eat? Whatever. Like I said, my son's a student there. So occasionally I run things by him and he's like, they're not thinking like you're thinking, Mom. Just keep it, be in front of them. Tell them, hey, don't forget to go vote. And it's a simple, quick reminder. I know you already registered. I recognize you. And they're like, yeah. I said, have you voted yet? they're like, oh no, I need to do that. And then you just tell them the times. You
Mhm.
never want to shame them or embarrass them. You just want to encourage them. And I always have candy. I give out lots of candy year round.
Yeah.
They know,
Yes.
they come looking for me. I know it's not the healthiest thing, but they're college kids. They don't have access to a lot of candy on
Yeah.
campus.
I
So
had a student yesterday at UTD ask me if he could have a piece of candy, but he said, "But I'm not a citizen. I'm not a citizen." I said,
it's
"That's
so
okay. You can
sweet.
still have a piece of candy."
It's okay.
Yeah.
You can still eat candy.
So
Yeah.
I think it's almost 5 o'clock, and I want to respect everybody's time and everybody's evening, especially this busy time of year. I've taken lots of notes. We've also recorded it, and we'll get that ready and share that. I would suggest if you have any resources, we've talked about different flyers and QR codes. If you would like to send those to me and I could share those with everyone. If we decide after the first of the year, if we want to pull back together and have another conversation, I think I'm hearing real concern about even once you get them registered, getting them through the process. Maybe we could focus more on that in another conversation. I'm hearing new resources about that with videos. I hope everybody on the call has gotten a few things out of it to think about. I really do appreciate Bonnie and Barbara and Brant. And I really do appreciate the league. And I'm really excited to know that that the league's informational materials are being so widely used. And I think
that's awesome.
That's really
Yeah.
awesome too.
Can I say one more thing? A big
Sure.
argument. Yeah, a big argument for me when I'm talking to these kids about, making sure they vote or registering so they can vote and all this, that I said, you know how you hate when your parents and your mom's telling you do this, do that. I said, if you don't vote, it's going to be me, people like me, all these moms that we're going to be making the decisions that you're going to have to live with.
Mm-hmm.
And you, because you're at the age that you can use your own voice, then you can do, then you have a say of what's going on and you're not having your mom standing there telling you what to do.
Yeah. Or in my case, your grandma. I always say, look at my hair.
Well, yeah, I would be grandma too. So
I would like to just throw this out. I've been thinking a lot about how to educate these kids in this tabling event, where we are all the time, about the primaries and the importance of understanding primaries and why they have to step up to the plate. They see all these candidates. I'm sure it's overwhelming. Somehow we've got to make it sound simple for them. And I could use some guidance there.
I think
that's an excellent,
this,
yeah, that's excellent.
And Joan, maybe some of this too, this is where I would hope we could sometimes get help from like the Texas League or the National League.
And you know what, I will reach out because I have a relationship with the government, paralegal department head. And with the Constitutional Day, they had a professor from Harvard. He had COVID, so he had to do it via Zoom rather than being physically on campus. But he talked about all the disinformation and how it affected everything and how it affected, looking at party and stuff when, versus, MSNBC versus Fox and, how people were looking and how it was influencing. And I'll ask him how they're going to address in their, classes and things, talking about primary versus the general election, and see if I can get any information from him.
Thank you.
I thought, wouldn't it be neat to have my computer there on the table, when I'm at a tabling event, and just have that video running constantly. Here's what primaries are about and why you need to speak up in the primaries, because if they don't like who's running in the general, they may not vote. A lot of people don't.
And if they didn't vote in the primary, then then they lost their chance to choose.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Kathy,
That's a good
I don't know
point,
if it
Jen.
addresses that particular question, but one of the things we have on our local website, on the LWV Richardson website, is an FAQ about primaries. because it's not just kids who are confused about what primaries are. Everybody
Yes.
is.
That's
You know,
right.
which party can I vote in? Do I have to vote in the same for the same people in the fall? Stuff like that. So we have the answers to those really basic questions out there on our website, which could be linked to with a QR code.
That's excellent. And you're right. It
We should
isn't just
share that.
students that are confused about primaries. I can't tell you how many times people have called into the hotline and just said, they asked me what party. You know, I didn't think they could do that when they went to vote in the primary. And I'm like, yes, you have to pick a ballot, one or the other, you know, but people don't know, and they don't vote in that many primaries. Some of them have never voted in a primary. So it's important. I've been telling students as I've been registering them, the next election is going to be the primaries, and it's your opportunity to get to pick who you want the candidate to be in the fall. You're not picking for the office, you're picking who you would like to see run. And that's, I said, that's the only time they're going to ask you which party, because the ballots are different. And they're like, oh, so it while you're registering. And one other thing I wanted to say before we wrap up, if you haven't already set up your schedule for January to do registration, whichever camp, do it right now before they go off on winter break. I've already got, you know, every day but 2 days from the 16th through February 5th filled with different locations and different residence halls, union, outside, wherever. Make sure you get those scheduled now, because once they come back off of winter break, you're not, you know, UNT makes you wait 5 days to get permission to get a table. Well, I don't have 5 days to wait. So make sure you get yourself scheduled now so that you can get on campus and hit it running.
Yeah, I've already set, and we're set from, we go on campus January 18th, and we're there until the end of April. We're already set.
Yeah. Takes
Something
a little
I've heard
planning, but it's well
recently-
worth it.
Something I've heard recently too is a lot of people believe that you have to join a party in order to register to vote, and they don't want to do that, and so then they don't register to vote. And in Texas, we register with the county, not with the party.
Right.
So make that clear also.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay, well, again, I want to thank everybody for being on the call, and everybody for contributing, especially again for Bonnie and Barbara and Brant. But everybody contributed and shared lots of good information. We'll get this video out to, or the recording out to you, as well as notes from the meeting. And any materials that you want to share with me, feel free to email those to me, and I'll include those if you're willing to share those. And we'll figure out if there's a need for another conversation in the future and what that should focus on. So
Kathy, do we have any information as far as the naturalization ceremonies and when those are going to start up again?
no, we do not. The last I heard from Oscar, for those of you who don't work on naturalization, we had our venue that we've been on, the Plano Event Center campus for the last couple of years. That relationship has ended, at least temporarily. And so November and December were canceled. We were told that there would be some events in Irving at the USCIS office. They'd be smaller events, but more of them. We said, we'll work anywhere. Just let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love that.
We've asked, and then I haven't heard anything. So I just emailed Oscar earlier this week, and I know he's working through lots of logistics.
Okay.
I think they're committed to us being there. It just seems to be kind of fluctuating right now. It's going to be wild after the holidays, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly. Well, and all those people, I remember the last election, and where, you know, the event was like 2 days after the cutoff for registering, and they were also disappointed they couldn't vote. And I go, but you could do presidential, you know, so.
Yeah.
We'll let people know just as soon as we hear something. And like I said, I have asked him again, but I also know not to ask every single day. That doesn't do any good. I'm sure he's kind of swamped. So thank you again to everyone. And thank you, Ellen, for arranging for the Zoom and recording it. And we'll be back in touch in the next few days and get this out to everyone and figure out what we do next.
Okay, great. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays to
everyone. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kathy and Ellen and all.